he hands down goes down as one of the best in history. As I say, the promotions, the moments, the memories of him. He's a top man and a top manager at Championship level.
When he was in the Premier League and he was doing hands on heads or doing the Liam Gallagher to the camera, that's right up there as well.
The way Fulham are going, it's going to be very hard to stop them.
They're looking really threatening.
Is it time for change at Hull City?
100,000,000%.
It's a big football club, Hull City. A lot of success in the last 10-15 years, and it deserves a lot more than it's getting right now.
Schopp had to go, and he'll go down as one of the poorer managers I think we've seen at Championship level, really.
He was the original, he was the OG Dark Arts Master. Ben Pearson has posters of Michael Brown on his wall.
Hello and welcome back to the Stopwatch, a topical championship show with a little twist. It's 5 topics, a 2-minute timer, and 2 hosts. We're Ryan and Justin from the Second Tier Podcast, and let's get right into it. Justin, after Neil Warnock took charge of a record 1,602 games in midweek, will he go down as one of the greatest moments in championship history?
I think so, yeah. He's got to be, hasn't he? The amount of promotions he's won. Not only that, but the teams he's saved. You look at that Rotherham spell, I think it was only 15 or so games, but he managed to keep them up, and they were fairly hopeless. But yeah, he hands down goes down as one of the best in history. As I say, the promotions, the moments, the memories of him. He's a top man and a top manager at Championship level.
Well, there's a good argument for him to be the best ever, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. In pretty much every club that he's been at, he's left them in a better position than when he came there. I say pretty much. Leeds fans might not disagree with us there. But he is undoubtedly one of the best. And as you mentioned, the amount of promotions that he's had, I think his win rate is one of the best the Championship has ever seen. Mm-hmm. There's no disagreement, really. The only ones who really stand out are, the ones who have got promoted at the first time of asking, really. I'm thinking like Daniel Farker, who's got 2 promotions on his belt in pretty much the same number of seasons. But in terms of longevity over the course of history, then yeah, he's got to be right up there, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the teams that he's taken up as well have never been favourites. You look at Sheffield United, they were always better sides than them, although he had a fairly, I wouldn't say a bigger budget, but back in the day it was a sizable one. He always had about 8 strikers there as well. You go to Cardiff as well. They were never fancied for promotion, but he always turned them from underdogs into contenders, really. And that for me tells you about his ability as a manager at this level, definitely.
100%. Favourite Neil Warnock memory?
That Nuno Espirito Santo rant, where he's walking off and he's going, get lost. It's top tier.
That's got to be up there at Championship level. Otherwise, when he was in the Premier League and he was doing hands on heads or doing the Liam Gallagher to the camera, that's right up there as well. Anyway, Justin, can we have the next topic, please?
After 5 consecutive wins with 20 goals scored and only 1 conceded, are Fulham beginning to hit their stride at a crucial time in the season?
Yeah, 100%. They're looking really threatening. And they are hitting their strides. They had that dodgy patch, didn't they, between the first 2 international breaks, but they've come out of the most recent international break flying. And we saw it in midweek. 7 goals against Blackburn is just monstrous. 20 goals in 5 games is frightening, and the goals are coming from all over the pitch. Mitrovic has been, one of the best strikers, one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a striker in Championship history. And now others are chipping in with the goals as well. It is petrifying for the rest of the Championship teams, isn't it, Justin?
Absolutely, and they are hitting stride at the perfect time. It's a good time to start to build momentum as you get to November, just before Christmas. You start to build that form, and it takes you into the second half of the season quite nicely. And the way Fulham are going, it's going to be very hard to stop them. Bournemouth, okay, they lost in midweek, but they've shown to be very steely opponents. I know Fulham have had a wobble, but they're a clear top 2 for me. And you look at the strength and depth that Fulham have got as well. It's very hard to see past them. Mitrovic scoring goals, other players are scoring goals, as you say, and there's creativity from every single avenue on that pitch. It is, as you say, terrifying for everybody else.
Yeah, and they seem to be getting better and better, especially in recent times, and that is not good news for Darren Ferguson and Peterborough coming up this weekend. But nonetheless, yeah, Fulham are looking really threatening, and it's looking like it could be a top two for me between Bournemouth and Fulham in the very near future, because West Brom have a couple of moments here and there where they're stuttering, whereas these two haven't really stuttered much at all, have they? Justin, were Barnsley right to dismiss Marcus Schopp? And if so, who do you think should be next in line at Oakwell?
They were right to dismiss Marcus Schopp, and it doesn't necessarily come down to it not being a successful spell. It comes down to them. Well, it wasn't an unsuccessful spell, but it was also there was just a clear lack of identity on the pitch. There wasn't really a style of play that they could identify with key players. I know they lost 2 in the summer, but it was still a good squad. They just weren't performing, and that is the reason why Marcus Schopp went. If they get a new manager in, it has to be a manager who knows how to get out of a relegation fight and build upon it. It has to be a project manager, and there are a few like Michael Flynn that are in the mix right now. I think he would be the contender for me.
Yeah, it's interesting who they will get in if it's an English manager, because obviously they've had this pattern of going down the Central European route in recent years, and I wouldn't be able to name who they should get if they do go down that route, because I don't know many Central European managers, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, they were absolutely right to sack Marcus Schopp because things weren't going right. They were absolutely terrible. The worst team in the league, no clear identity. Key players from last season massively underperforming. It just clearly wasn't working. It was a bad appointment from a Barnsley perspective, and Schopp had to go, and he'll go down as one of the poorer managers I think we've seen at Championship level, really, won't he? If they do go down the route of an English manager, I'll be very interested to see who they get. Michael Flynn seems to be the favourite at the moment. I don't think they'll go for him, though. I think they'll go for someone a bit more experienced at Championship level, which is why McCarthy keeps standing out at me. He's going to be, he will keep them up if they go for him, but I'm not sure they will go for him, because my instinct is they will go down a Central European route. If they do go down the English route and don't go for McCarthy, then Alex Neil is another shout. Will he go there, though?
It's a very good club, isn't it, Barnsley? They've got good contacts throughout Europe. They've got a good team. They've got a flexible style of play, and it's something that might suit Alex Neil. And he's still a young manager. Let's be honest; he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. So, and that pressing spell would have served him well. So, I think it would interest him, and he should interest Barnsley as well.
I think he should definitely interest Barnsley. I'm not sure he'll be interested in the role, though. Just the next topic, please.
With only 3 wins in the last 35 in the Championship, is it time for change at Hull City?
100,000,000%. But I don't think we're going to see it, because I can't see it happening until this takeover happens. As Hull fans keep telling us, they're not going to sack Grant McCann until that this takeover happens, because the current owners don't want to shell out for him. But I don't think there's any argument really that Grant McCann has to go as soon as this takeover is done, doesn't he?
Yeah, there needs to be a change in manager, and there needs to be a change in ownership, and there needs to be a change in playing staff as well, because they need some Championship experience to get them through till the end of the season, because at the minute, I think even the playing squad lacks the experience needed to get out of the bottom 3. Grant McCann's record at Championship level speaks for itself. He's probably not the right manager for Hull City, and given that his record is so poor, quite rightly, there should be some change. And as for the ownership, the current ownership, it's needed to change for years, and bringing in having a new owner in charge will bring a new lease of life to that football club, because it's a big football club, Hull City. A lot of success in the last 10-15 years, and it deserves a lot more than it's getting right now.
I would disagree that they need to change the playing staff. I think the squad there is good enough to stay up. It's just the manager who, as you quite rightly say, is clearly out of his depth. He's always struggled at Championship level. He had a pretty rocky record at Peterborough when they were in League One before going to Hull. So it was a weird appointment at the time. It's not really worked out, even though he did get them back into the Championship from League One. But yeah, at this level, he doesn't look up to it, Justin. And we've seen that so far this season. And finally, Justin, if you had to pick one player who was the king of the dark arts in the Championship, who would it be? The PG way of saying it is, who is the master of S-housery in the Championship?
I've gone for Michael Brown formerly of Sheffield United, Portsmouth, and Leeds United. He's a top pick for me, and his yellow card record speaks for itself. There, he's definitely my pick. Who have you gone for?
I've gone for Ben Pearson, because the man just reeks of S-housery. He has done it for years. He loves doing it, and he will continue to do it for the rest of his career. And his yellow cards record speaks for itself. I think that was the reason why a lot of Premier League clubs were put off him, because he did like to pick up a card or two on a very regular basis. Michael Brown, good shout, though. He was a bit of a dark arts master, wasn't he?
He was the original. He was the OG Dark Arts Master. Ben Pearson has posters of Michael Brown on his wall. I've done some research on Michael Brown. The likes of Ryan Giggs, Sean Davis, and another player who escapes me. They've all complained of Michael Brown tackles. I remember Michael Brown putting studs in. I think it was Jake Buxton's chest or Craig Barson's chest when it was Leeds v Derby at one point. Got a red card. He is the master of dark arts, and there's no other player that comes close. And he's a Neil Warnock disciple as well.
Ben Pearson, though, scissor tackled Bradley Dack in what was one of the most famous tackles in the Preston Blackburn derby, because it got the biggest cheer of probably the whole match. And I will never forget when Ben Pearson was playing for Preston against Bournemouth, who ironically he now plays for now. And whenever Steve Cook had the ball, he said, "Let him have the ball. He's," in PG words, "not very good."
Now the teammates.
And now the teammates, or were teammates last season anyway. But that wraps it up for another episode of the Stopwatch. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Drop us a like if you've enjoyed. Please subscribe for more content like this. We're always very interested to hear what you guys have got to say on the individual topics which we have spoken about today. Within the Second Tier Podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at Second Tier Pod. I'm at Ryan Dilks1 on Twitter. That's Justin Peach 27 on Twitter as well. We'll be back again very soon, and thank you for watching.